Welcome back to The Varied Life, everybody. Steve here, the retired hobby tech guy. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm retired. I'm doing hobby stuff, and I'm kind of a tech guy a little bit. Today, we're going to be talking about something interesting. Soldiers in Korea fighting at 4 a.m. What are the odds? How that ever happens, I will never figure that out. Is it the leader's fault or is stupidity immortal? This is very interesting. For those of you who have been in the armed forces at some stage of your life and have been overseas, you have seen stupid people doing extremely stupid things at times. And even though the military has gone out of its way to spend inordinate amount of time with counseling and doing contracts with soldiers to maintain professionalism and courtesy and being civil and mature adults on and off duty, 24/7, and you're making a contract that you will promise to do this. Even despite that and the countless hours of online training that happens each and every single year over the same things, don't get drunk, don't get stupid, don't get in fights, don't do this, don't do that, you will still have soldiers, i.e. adults, grown people, legal adults that will do stupid regardless of how many things that you have to do, the counseling statements, the promises, the before a 4-day weekend, you'll get the briefing, the whole company or battalion, all right, and then you have SMAJ up there, the first sergeant or commanders, don't do this, have the buddy system, leaders, check on your soldiers. Even despite all of that, you will still have people that will do stupid. What I find amazing is that it's been a minute since I've been in the military. The last time I was in was when I retired, and that was back in 2005. So yeah, I've been out for a while, did some contracting, and taught firearms with military police on Fort Carson, not Camp Carson, and that was a lot of fun. Trained hundreds of soldiers. Love interacting, being around the military. Hell, that's why I retired here in Korea, close to a military base, because there is that warmth that I get from being around military people. With that being said, throughout the history of time, soldiers will always do stupid. Now, granted, there are times when soldiers will do stupid in greater numbers, but the great thing is today we have less of those instances than what we did before. But you might be asking, why is this all getting up in my nose? It was kind of interesting because as I'm retired and I'm doom scrolling through Facebook, I ran across a post on a military base that's close to where I live, Humphreys, and somebody complained and said, you know what, we need to nip this in the butt because it was Valentine's Day and it was 4 a.m. in the morning, and this guy, it was an anonymous post. And this guy, I'm assuming it's a guy, and they were with their spouse. So, I mean, it could have been a guy, it could have been a girl, it could have been two girls or two guys, or maybe a guy who became a girl and a girl became a guy. And you see where I'm going? I don't know. But anyway, there's a person and another person who was their spouse. And they were getting into a taxi, but they happened to observe soldiers getting in a fight at 4 a.m. in the morning. Obviously over stupid stuff. Never seen a fight where, even in prison where I worked for 11 years in 2 medium R restricted facilities with murderers and rapists and all that, all the fights that I saw were based off of something stupid. There was nothing that there was no reason why to do those things. And we still see this in the military today. This is going to be one of those things. And the interesting thing was that this person was like, leaders, you need to get your people under control. And it's like, so me reaching back into the history books of when I was in, I experienced these exact same things. And I remember the mass punishments. I remember, the mass punishment and punish the leaders, even though we had mass punishment, let's punish the leaders even more for what their individual stupid soldiers did, despite all the counseling, despite all the briefings and the training and all of that. And it's like, yeah, you were supposed to be with your soldier. And it's like, I can't be with my soldiers 24/7. Stating the obvious, I have multiple soldiers. I cannot be in different locations at all the same time. So there's kind of that reality comes into play. But then I can't be with them anyway, because at 4 a.m., I'm going to be asleep. I might be with my family. And Lord forbid I have any quality time for myself and or my family. So I just need to be up 24/7 and follow all of my soldiers all of the time, like with chicken with a head cut off, to make sure that they don't do stupid. That is not my job as a leader. My job as a leader, or at least when I was in, and I know people are like, oh, you're acting like Walter, and it's like, here we go again. The old retired guy is Boomer's gonna talk about when he was in the military, and it's like, it's kind of go that route. But it wasn't my job as a leader at that time to follow my soldiers 24/7 every minute of the day. We give the briefing. At a time where I was at, and I did my 20 years plus, I'd seen times where it was like, let's punish the stupid person and leave everybody else alone, as long as you prove that, yeah, I told him not to do stupid. I put it in counseling for him not to do stupid. Commander First Sergeant, you gave the briefing prior to the 4-day weekend, told everybody not to do stupid. So obviously, stupid soldier decided to take it upon themselves as that being a challenge instead of a warning, and they did it anyway. So there's no need to punish the rest of the soldiers who actually followed the rules or the leaders. But then I've been on the other side of that as well, where it ends up, let's mass punish everybody, let's restrict the entire company to post or battalion to post, and we're not going to, you can't go out and do anything, all passes are revoked, the whole 9 yards, and we're leaders, you're going to get a negative counseling statement, you're going to go through and you're going to have to do essays on the importance of professionalism, maturity, and civility, because your soldier at 4 a.m. went and did stupid unbeknownst to you while you were asleep. Seriously, we're going to go that route? I've experienced both of those things. But it's funny because when you have people that and this post was on a Facebook group for Humphreys area, and then as I was typing madly away, doing my Walter impression, the post was removed. So I decided to talk about this. And the interesting thing about this is that the individual said, yeah, I was with my spouse, and they made this post anonymously, which I thought that was really interesting. They were getting into a taxi and they complained about it. Leaders, you need to get in, and you need to you need to take control of your soldiers, because that's we're setting a bad example here in Korea, and it just doesn't look good for soldiers representing the United States. It's like, wait a second. You said you saw it, and you got into a taxi and left. And now you're complaining about the leaders not being there at 4 a.m. How? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. So, the thing is, in the time that I was in the military, if you see a problem, fix it, okay? But you stay within your wheelhouse. But in that situation, you're saying, leaders, you should have done something, but then you had the chance to do something and you didn't. So does that mean that you're not a leader, or you just saw something wrong and said, screw it, I'm leaving, it's 4 a.m.? Is that really the professionalism that we're going for? And the fact that you're doing this anonymously, I just have problems with anonymous posts to begin with. If you can't say something and reveal who you are, unless it's like some sexual assault thing or some sensitive area, if you can't come out and say, hey, this is me, and this is what I said, and this is what I saw, and what I did, and whatever, and you're hiding behind that anonymity, that's kind of questionable to begin with. But the fact that you ended up saying, I left, And then you immediately go into the complaint of the leaders are at fault. And I don't know, have you ever been a leader? It sure doesn't sound like it. I've been a team leader, I've been a squad leader, I've been a platoon sergeant. I've had a number of times where I've had to deal with stupidity in multiples. And the thing is, no matter what you do, stupidity will be guaranteed. Stupidity is immortal. And case in point, it just resides out there in the ether and will attack wantonly at will. And it can be on both sides. You can mass punish everybody for what one person did, and you can just destroy morale like Thanos snapping his fingers. Or you can get to the places where we're going to punish the leadership for what an individual grown adult who was told, i.e. ordered through counseling and briefings, not to do these things, and they did stupid, but you're going to punish me for what he did wrong, and I was asleep. But I can do you one better. I was in Korea. Now cue in the Walter, the Walter here, and, back when I was in. Because it's been a minute. First time I was in Korea was 1988, and it was a long time ago. I retired in 2005. But one of my many tours, I was in Korea, and I went on vacation. I put in for my leave because I needed to get away, go see family, all of the good things, decompress, actually take some time for myself. I come back, and I am welcomed by the first sergeant and the commander, not with open arms, but with a stern Walter look upon their faces, shaking their finger, "Sergeant Wilson, we need to talk to you." And I'm just like, I'm still on leave. I'm going to the mailroom to check my mail. They escort me over to the company and pull me into the commander's office. And at that time, they proceed to chew me up, down, left, right, inside out. And I'm just like, I'm still on leave. What are we talking about? What did I do? I wasn't even in country for the last month. Please fill me in on what I did wrong. And I didn't do anything wrong while I was stateside. Well, lo and behold, one of my soldiers ended up going out in the Ville, getting drunk, as some soldiers are known to do, and unfortunately he crossed that line of civility and stupidity, and he stepped onto the side of stupidity. He ended up getting in a fight with some Korean nationals, and then he got in a fight with the MPs who responded to him getting in the fight with the foreign nationals, and then the Korean police showed up, and then there was more fighting, and it just ended up there was a lot of fighting and stupidity. And even though he had been briefed by the commander of the first sergeant not to do stupid on said weekend, Friday night, and even though it was in my counseling that I had given him, and of course, every single month, you got to do your counseling, and every single month, I would have the same blurbs and go over with all my guys and gals and say, don't go do stupid, don't get drunk, don't get in fights, leave it alone. The bar girl, she doesn't love you, and so if some other guy's hitting on her, it's not a thing, okay? Don't leave, go to some other bar and get some other girl, or go to the PX and get some Jergens lotion. So anyway, it ends up that I got a negative counseling statement. And I'm like, I don't understand. I've counseled the soldier every single month. You ended up giving a briefing prior to the 4-day weekend, and this guy decides to do stupid, and I'm getting a negative counseling statement. But the kicker is, when this happened is when I was in the United States on leave. So how am I'm gone. I am legally gone out of the country, in another country, but I am somehow responsible for my soldier. Yeah, that is an example of stupidity on the other side of the coin. So, long story short, people will do stupid. Soldiers will get drunk. Soldiers will get in fights. But I can tell you from my time, the first time being in Korea in 1988 and many years after that, that the frequency of these events has declined drastically over the years. And since I've retired in Korea for over 2 years now, I'm actually pretty impressed with the lack of fights and stupidity that people are doing. Yes, there's a lot of online training, there's counseling, there's, the briefings before every 3 and 4 day weekend, or hell, every weekend, from what I'm hearing from other soldiers that are still on active duty. These things don't happen as much. but they still will. Even under the threat of flogging and putting people on bread and water rations for a month, you would still have people that would go out and do stupid. It's just the way of the world. You cannot rid the world of stupidity. I mean, look at our government. That's a prime example. And the governments all throughout history, you will see stupid people. You will see Roman soldiers and Phoenician soldiers, and even way back to whenever the first military, you will still see people doing stupid. And it's just a fact of life. But the good thing is that today we have a better quality of people that are in the military now than when I was in. So if you think the frequency is bad now, if we took the Wayback Machine and got in a time machine and I could take you back to when I was in Korea, yeah, you would be like, oh my gosh, it's like, the Colosseum in Rome. Fights everywhere, Koreans fighting with Americans, and, stores being looted and broken into, and pigs being stolen and brought onto post for barbecues. Yeah, that actually happened. And I swear to God, I had nothing to do with that. Might have witnessed it, but I had nothing to do with that. But the next day, the barbecue was kicking. That's all I can say. So, anyway, yeah, very, very interesting on how I see this in the military today. And being overseas, I thought I'd talk about this because this kind of got up my nose a little bit, and how somehow the generation today, even though we have better quality of soldiers today and leaders, is we still have some people that will point the finger and say, it's not the soldier's fault, it's the leader's fault. Why wasn't the leader there? I don't know, maybe because it's 4:00 in the morning. I don't know, maybe because you got multiple soldiers and doing things at different places out in the Ville, and let alone Korea, and on post. Maybe the leader, by the luck of the draw, just wasn't with that soldier at that time to stop him. But even then, it's impossible. When I worked in a military police company here at Camp Humphreys, we would go out and we would do Ville patrol. And God's honest truth, I have seen soldiers whom their leaders, their immediate supervisors, were physically dragging their soldiers away from a stupid situation, i.e. fighting drunk over a girl, whatever it was, and dragging them away. Said soldier broke away and would continue fighting. And then that same soldier actually threw blows on his immediate supervisor. And he's like, no, please don't do this. And the thing was that the leader was pulling him away because it was the right thing to do, but it was also because he didn't want to get punishment, because there was this whole mass punishment thing going on. So, yeah, you will still have stupid people, even if you have the leader holding the hand. I don't know if you've seen it in Korea with the grade school kids, and, they got their little backpacks and those, little middle grade school kids going around elementary, and then they're holding hands and the rope, and they all look like little anime characters like Pikachu, with their bags and stuff. And then the teacher's got you could have leaders doing that out in the Ville with their soldiers, all their soldiers tied, holding a rope and a chain or whatever, and there would still be a soldier that would do stupid. It's just a fact of life. There are still stupid people out there. You will never get rid of stupidity, because stupidity is immortal. So I kind of take offense to when people kind of sit back like Walter, and it's like, oh, leaders, you need to get control of your people. At 4:00 in the morning, I've got multiple soldiers, so it's just the luck of the draw that I wasn't with that guy at that time. I was with somebody else. So now you're gonna yell at the leader for not being with this guy, but with this guy at 4 a.m. in the morning. Come on, we need to stop this. We need to get to the point of realize that every single person in the United States military is a grown-ass adult. And if they can't follow the rules and play nice, you punish that individual person and you make them responsible. You make an example out of them so that the other stupid people, maybe by seeing this, they won't do stupid. But there's no guarantee. You will still have stupid people. You'll have somebody that will go out, rape, murder, kill, destroy, burn an entire city down, and they will get punished even with the death penalty, and you'll still have somebody stupid enough to say, you know what? That could be fun. and they will go do it again. Okay, the chances of that are slim, but you will still have stupid people. So anyway, I just find it disingenuous that you have people in the military today that will automatically point the fingers at leaders and say it's your fault that this guy did stupid. Nope. Nope. They were adult enough to raise their hand and pledge that I will follow the orders of the president and defend all enemies against, all enemies, foreign and domestic. But notice there's nothing there that says that I will not do stupid, because it is an immovable force. Stupidity will always be with us, and you can't will it out of existence. You can try, but it'll always raise its ugly head in some way, shape, or form. There is no cure for stupidity. But I think we've got a really great quality and quantity of soldiers today that are more mature. They're more, they understand what's going on, and it's kind of like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do stupid because that'll be bad for me. Promotions, the whole thing in general, Article 15, extra duty, all of that. Yeah, probably wouldn't be a good idea to do stupid. So the majority don't. But you still will have people that will do stupid. So, yeah, it is what it is. But like I said, I take offense at when people just automatically point at leaders and say, oh, it's your fault that a grown adult at 4 a.m. in the morning got too drunk and he did stupid. That's not my fault. I, being the leader that I was, would preach of all the evils and the sins of alcohol and wanton debauchery that could be found out in the Ville, and I would highly impress upon my soldiers to not go do those things, and yet they would still do them. I would tell them, don't get in fight with Korean nationals or the Korean police because it won't end well with you. And yet I still had soldiers that would do that. It just happens. It is. But the fact is, as an old person, kind of like Walter, I can look back and I can tell you with 100% certainty that the amount of fights and the stupid things that happen today is drastically less than when I was in the military. And I had to deal with a lot more stupid people than what we're seeing today. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I thought it was kind of interesting. The people that are, complaining leadership, it's all your fault, and it's like, leaders can only do so much. And I don't know if you've ever been a leader, but yeah, a leader can't spend his time 24/7 with every single soldier that's under them. It just doesn't work. And I don't know why that doesn't cross the minds of many people, especially the people who complain about soldiers doing stupid things. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of stupid going on there. Anyway, that's going to be it. What do you do? What do you do? I'm definitely not for mass punishments. I am definitely, for punishing the soldier who is a grown adult. And I think that's part of the disconnect that we had, at least during my time, is that we don't see soldiers as adults, legal adults. Nobody was forced into the military, except for me, but that's another story. But they don't do that stuff anymore, okay? But every single person that raises their hand is a legal adult. And when they get to their first duty station, they are a legal adult. And if they don't want to be an adult and be civil and mature and professional, then maybe they should be punished. Maybe they shouldn't be in the military. That way we can have a better quality of forces and leave the stupid people, leave them behind. That's all I'm saying. All right, we'll see what do you think? Put it in the comment section down below. Peace. But it's the leader's fault.